Alana.
Rick.
Jaylo.
Hammond.
It's around 10:15 maybe in the morning.
Yes.
You went to bed around 10:26 p.m.
Wow, you even knew the time?
Roughly. I'm keeping tabs on you, babe.
Oh, jeez.
I was
Thanks.
right next to you at the time.
Oh.
And I believe you woke up sometime around 8:13 a.m.
Wow, you're keeping track of that too.
I was already up.
Yeah, I did. I slept for 10 hours, which I normally don't do.
9.5. But nobody's counting.
Yeah, you are.
9 hours, 47 minutes.
Oh my
thereabouts.
goodness. Because I usually sleep 8 hours, roughly, a night. 7 to 8 hours at least. I must have needed it.
Yeah. I was listening to an audio program when you awoke.
Mm-hmm.
So, I re-signed up to Audible because while Bookshare and Bard both have a lot of great selections,
I do.
and so does Overdrive, sometimes there's things I just can't get that I really want access to.
Ah.
Audible also has these originals that they have. So if you're a member, you can listen to them, the originals, for free.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And the other night, I saw that Tom Morello, formerly of Audio Slave, Rage Against the Machine, and Prophets of Rage, put out this really interesting lecture about his life. It's very fascinating to learn about him. I didn't know a lot about him, but apparently he grew up in Illinois. He was the only child of mixed race at his school.
Really?
Everybody else was super white.
Really?
His mom was an activist. So at one point he tells a story in the book about this white kid beat him up in kindergarten and was using a bunch of racial slurs. His mom starts talking to him about Malcolm X and what Malcolm X would do, and he's like, but I'm 5. And she's well, Malcolm would say this, and he's like, yeah, but I'm 5. What
do I have to,
Well, Malcolm recommends this, well, I'm 5. So then she showed him how to punch, and he punched that kid out the next day.
Whoa.
Yeah. But this book is...
Did he get in trouble for it?
He didn't specify, I don't think.
Okay.
This audio program is interesting because it brings up a question in my mind that is occurring, which is, how much do you fight back and question the system? What do you think about that, babe?
You mean when it comes to that?
No, in general.
What exactly do you mean?
Okay.
I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah. How much pushback do you give to the system? And the system could represent your parents and their way of thinking, religious beliefs, the government.
Well, I didn't grow up in a family where I was allowed to question things, which I think that was very detrimental to my growing up because I didn't have the choice to question my parents' authority, because there were some things that I did believe that they were telling me, but there are some things that I'm like, well, why is that not okay? Why can't I do this until I'm this age? And it could be a myriad of things. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to air out my dirty laundry or whatever. I've just over the years I've just been questioning a lot of things, even things that have been told to me in different churches that I didn't believe was right.
What's something that you've heard in the church that you have issues with?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain because if you didn't have a church background, you wouldn't understand. But I will just say for certain topics like let me think. I could go the creation route, but I've said that before. Like prayer, for example. I guess I could start as simple as prayer. There are people that believe things about prayer that aren't true. I went to churches where, and I didn't hear them personally say this, but I've heard people I know tell me that there are some people in church that believe that women that are not married should not pray aloud, and I don't think that's right.
What was their rationale?
Because they're unmarried, because they believe that their husband should be the ones praying, but they don't have any husbands. In other words, they don't believe that women should be praying. And there's nothing in Scripture that would attest to that.
When you look at religion in general, there seems to be a focus on oppressing women, I've noticed.
Not necessarily.
I'm talking about in general terms. I've noticed this.
Okay. And that could be. I think a lot of it is is a misconception. Now, I do think that when it comes to Islam, and side note, I hope any Muslims that are listening to this
know that you hate them.
No, I never said that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Fighting words, bub. Fighting words.
Babes. Tell me.
Well, I would imagine that a woman living in a Muslim country wouldn't have the same rights as an American Muslim woman. Because, and I would also think about the doctrine of Islam, where women were not allowed to be accompanied outside of their house unless it was with a male relative, or they weren't allowed to talk to a man by themselves. They wouldn't be allowed to drive by themselves. They wouldn't be allowed to go to school.
It does seem kind of oppressive.
It's very oppressive. They would have to wear a hijab. You know what those are, right?
I do. I've seen women wear
a burqa.
This
Yeah, they have to wear a burqa over their entire body, so they wouldn't be seen.
You could make the argument, though, that in some Christian circles, you're not allowed to pray to God, but a man is, and that's a form of oppression.
Well, I don't agree with that. There's a lot of Christians that have the same beliefs that I do, because a lot of the people that say that are kind of trying to twist, to make it into what they think is true, but there is actually nothing that actually backs that up.
This is a recurring discussion with you and I.
Yeah.
But how do you know that you're not also trying to manipulate the Christian doctrine to what you believe is true?
Well, I don't believe I am, and I say that because there are things when it comes to questions about that, like when I talked about the prayer question, right? And scripture is open into private interpretation. Having said that, when I've read passages that have to do with prayer, I have to, and this is kind of hard to get into because a person that hasn't grown up in church would not understand this. So it's kind of hard for me to really go deep into this.
Okay.
I can't, it's hard.
When I ask, not just you, but other people that question, I always get these half-assed responses.
Well, no.
And I feel like my question is never fully answered.
No, because it's hard to discuss it with somebody that does not come from a church background, and that is true. It really is. It would probably go over your head. It's something that has to be shown to you, I think.
Let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered to yourself, am I just seeing what I want to see in the Bible?
There were times where I have read things that I thought that I was interpreting correctly, and realizing that I wasn't, because my understanding was wrong. And the Bible is one of those books to where when you read it over and over again, you always get something. You always glean from it. You always get something out of it that you never thought you did. Whether you misinterpreted a passage. Now, granted, having said that, there are things, there are passages that I've read that I thought I understood and realized that I misinterpreted it.
And you realized that because time had passed and you had read other things?
No.
Okay.
No, because I was not really, whether my mind wasn't focused, whether I just was not searching it out, whatever it was, I was just trying to think that it was because a lot of people like to cherry pick things, and I never wanted to be the kind of person that would cherry pick stuff and say, oh, well, this is actually saying this when it's really saying this.
Do you think that there are contradictory things in the Bible?
No, I don't.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I do not. It's
only
only contradictory if I make it contradictory.
If you make it contradictory?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, and I don't know when, this is, on a vast list of things that I want to do with you, I would love to study the Council of Nicaea.
You want to study the Council of Nicaea?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
I think it would be interesting. So I've told you this before that I don't want to go too deep into it, but supposedly there are a lot of Gospels that were cut out of the King James Version of the Bible.
So I have a problem with this, and I'll tell you why I have a problem with this. I have a problem with this because certain religious sects of Christianity, I'm not going to say who, but you have an idea about what I'm talking about. They like to add a lot of things to the Bible that wasn't supposed to be there, and they weren't supposed to be there for a reason. And I've noticed, like, in stories, or not stories, you remember that show, Mysteries of the Bible? Have you ever heard of that show?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
The reason why I don't watch it anymore is because it's put on, there's these biblical scholars, or so-called biblical scholars. I'm kind of, I don't watch it anymore because a lot of the things that they've said, I don't know that they're really credible. And I think that there is something to be said when you add to or you take away from the scriptures that have already been there and that are supposed to be there for a reason. The certain religious sects want to add stuff, like maybe it's an extra testament, an extra gospel, or they take away stuff like the New Testament.
But how do you know that the historians you're listening to are credible? What's your barometer?
Well, it does say very clearly in Scripture, and I'm not talking about theologians here. I'm talking about actual Scripture, about being judged for adding or taking away from the Scriptures.
And how do you know that wasn't added? Through either translation or somebody put it in there. So maybe somebody translated the original text incorrectly, or King James had that put in there.
I don't think so.
How do you know? Well, why don't you think so?
Because there's a reason that the 66 books were counted in the entire Bible. At the end of the book of Revelation, it does say that anyone who adds to or takes away from these scriptures shall have their shall pretty much shall be judged for that. But it doesn't go on from there. It doesn't go on after Revelation. But a lot of people over the centuries have wanted or have claimed to have. I would highly question these sources.
But why aren't you highly questioning your own sources?
Because I don't think that the Bible is inerrant.
But how do you know it was translated right?
Well, I gave you a source, by the way, which you haven't listened to.
I watched
all the way through,
and it was this film that had really bad production. And
yeah, but you didn't listen to all of it. and I think there's another one coming out.
It's like 2 hours long. I watched the first hour and a half of it.
No. You have to listen to the whole thing.
Okay.
And I think you should start over.
What I would say, at some point I do plan to start over, but the production quality is really bad, and most of it is just bashing Catholics.
They do make a really good case for it, and I think you should put your feelings aside.
I will give it another shot.
I think you should put your feelings aside and look at this as if you were studying it.
Okay, but how do you know that film is accurate?
Like I said, they make a really good case for it. They even use scriptures to back up what they're saying. They even talk about the italicized words that were put in the King James Bible to why the italicized words are put in the King James Bible. They even
right, but
hold on, just listen. I'm trying to explain to you.
You tickle too easily, Jaylo. Keep going.
Because you won't listen if I don't.
Go ahead.
Sometimes your lips have to be bridled here.
What else? Keep going.
So I saw this. I actually plan to watch it again because it's really fascinating.
We are not watching that on movie night, but keep going.
No, I'm not watching it with you. I already have it on my computer.
Okay.
I don't need to watch it with you. I already have it. I think another one's coming out. It is the only unauthorized Bible that has been put into translation. Also, King James had made sure that the translators were translating in the correctly from Hebrew and from Greek to English. And if they ever got it wrong, because he had to review these, he had translators review it. He also had to review it. A lot of people were put to death. It also talks about the history between Catholicism and Martin Luther, which really does play a big role in this production. And I think this was produced in the 80s. Either in the 80s or the 70s, I'm not quite sure. So it's probably why it was really bad. But I think excuse me. But all I'm going to say, and then we can talk about something else because I think we should, is that I would suggest that you start over again. I don't want to hear that you watched like an hour of it and you didn't finish it. I actually want to hear that you watched all of it. And I want you to put your feelings aside. And I want you to look at this as if you're doing research on it.
Okay.
I don't want you to look at this subjectively. Like, oh, this is just propaganda. No, I want you to look at this objectively. Like, what are they trying to tell you?
But you still have an answer. First of all, refresh my memory. The film's called, like, Magic Lantern? Or
A Lamp in the Dark.
A Lamp in the Dark, okay, if anybody wants to check it out.
It's called A Lamp in the Dark, yeah.
I do not recommend this. Alana loves this film.
It's very educational.
That's one way of putting it. So
it's educational. Well, see, you're open-minded to a lot of things.
I am, but
you're not quite open-minded to this.
You're still missing the central point of my question.
I know that it is true because I believe that it is true. I believe that the Bible is inerrant because I have an understanding. I have an understanding of what the scriptures are, what they mean. And it's hard for a person to understand that if they haven't read it or they haven't had a church background, and because they aren't some people are not seeking God for understanding, and I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to get into another debate. Can
I ask you a question about this?
No.
Okay.
I think we should move on.
I'm going to present you with...
No.
Let me talk, babe.
I thought we were done.
If I wanted to make a documentary and I had no money, I just had my iPhone.
Yeah.
Right? I could go out and find some people claiming to be biblical scholars. And I could make my own film contradicting everything that was in A Lantern in the Dark with higher production value on just an iPhone, how would we know that my film is inaccurate and yours is correct?
Well, what are you talking about?
It would be very easy for me to create a documentary about the Bible that contradicts everything that A Lantern in the Dark says.
A Lamp in the Dark.
A Lamp in the Dark says.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you believe the experts in A Lamp in the Dark?
Like I told you before, I believe... So I only watched this documentary once, and I've been told about it.
I didn't even do that. Sorry, don't joke.
That is a stupid
All right,
joke.
give me a kiss.
No.
No, come on, because you're getting worked out.
Fighting words.
Come on, babes. Come on, babes.
No.
Oh, come on.
Are you going to be nice?
I'm always nice. Give me a kiss.
Mm.
Come on.
Okay.
Ooh, Jaylo. Hey, don't take it. All right, go ahead.
No, that was a stopper.
Go ahead.
So I watched this. Video once.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, Jesus is really long. And I thought, well, okay. I mean, what do I have to lose? I've never watched this before. I really want to see. I really want to hear their case against other versions of the Bible. And the reason why I listened to it is because I wanted to know. I wanted to know what their case was concerning versions other than the King James version of the Bible. And because I grew up with a grandmother who quoted that Bible, and that Bible was quoted more times than any other Bible, I wanted to see what the difference is, and that was the reason why I wanted to listen to it. And
thanks, Grandma.
And I was very surprised that they went into Catholicism, Lutheranism, and what came out of Catholicism, and through the ages, and how people have been martyred because of their stance against the Catholic Church. And there was a lot of bloodshed. It was documented. And I'm not going to go into it because right. I want to save it. I want you to listen to it. I want you to listen to it.
I will, but you still haven't answered my question. Why do you think the experts on this film are telling the truth?
I told you why.
No, you told me why you watched it.
No, I told you why. I told you why because I said that I believe that they backed up.
Okay.
I believe that they backed up their case because they used scripture to back up their case. They even...
scripture which could have been altered.
No. Bubs. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to talk about this anymore. If you're not going to listen to me, I am not going to talk about this anymore.
All right, babe. I'm sorry.
No.
Can I get a kiss?
No.
Come on.
No.
Oh, come on, babes.
No.
Come on, babes.
You're not being good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Come on. Babe, do you want to give me a kiss? You know you want to give me a kiss. Come on.
Okay, fine. This is a very few time. This is one of the few times where you actually see me really mad at him.
There's usually no reason to be. We can change the subject.
Thank you.
And I would be willing to watch this.
Yes, to be fair, I think that if you are open-minded to listening to things that are based on religion, I think you should at least listen to this.
I doubt I'm going to agree with it, but I'll give it a shot.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's all I ask.
Yes. Anyways, babes. You got a little bit riled up there.
On to a lighter, more happier topic.
We watched a great episode of DS9 yesterday.
Yes, we did. It was sad, though.
The Ties of Blood and Water.
It was really sad.
The continuation to the episode's Second Skin. Jaylo?
Yes.
Take it.
Take it away. So, what was that guy's name? Oh, Tekeni Gamor. Tekeni Gamor was a Cardassian who believed that Kira at one time was his daughter because he was missing his daughter Ileana, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, this is a a continuation of
Second Skin.
the Second Skin, and Gamora decides that even though Kira isn't his daughter, he still thinks of her as his daughter, because he hasn't been able to find Ileana for a long time.
Like 10 years. And
10 years.
He believes that she's dead.
Yes. Well, Gamora comes to Deep Space Nine. He tells Kira that he has Yarnfeld syndrome, or however you say it, Yarnfeld syndrome, I don't know, something weird, and he's dying. He's dying, and he wants her to take care of him, because he doesn't know how. He knows that the hour is going to be near for him to go. And then she has flashbacks about how it was when her father was dying, because he was shot, right? Was he shot?
He was ambushed. He was shot.
Okay. And he was having all these flashbacks about she was having all these flashbacks about how it was when she was a part of the Resistance, and how she gloated on how many Cardassians that they killed. And in the midst of all that, her father was dying, and I want you to continue. Please.
We come back to the modern age. Gul Dukat comes to the station. Alana's ex-boyfriend, Gul Dukat.
What?
Yeah, you used to date him.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't even know the man who plays him.
He's back there with Wayun. They talk, and he wants Legate Gamora taken to the Cardassian homeworld because he's dying, and he says, hey, we're going to treat him well. We know he doesn't have a lot of time left. Cisco knows that Gul Dukat is just, feeding him some bullshit. They continue talking. He realizes he's not getting anywhere with Cisco. He gives a copy of Legate Gamora's war record to Major Kira Nerys. She reads it and realized that Gamora was involved. I can't remember. Is it Gamora or Gamora?
Gamora. Gamora is a city. Gamora.
Okay.
That's Gamora, not Gamora.
That's why I keep going back.
Not to be confused with Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay. Good.
Gamora.
Your favorites.
My favorites?
Yes.
That's yours.
What if? So, she realizes that Gamora was part of this raid that killed a bunch of spiritual leaders on Bajor. She gets really upset and refuses to see him after she yells at him, basically.
Yeah.
He's dying. He's dying. She goes to the Bajoran temple, and waiting outside is Constable Odo.
Yep.
They have a discussion. She's like, I can't associate with this guy. He's a killer. Look at his war record.
Yeah.
And Odo's like, Major, I looked at his war record. He was only 19 years old when he did this. Yep. He was one of 400 people. We don't even know if he even fired a shot.
Right.
And then he says, you could have gotten his war record before Gul Dukat if you wanted to.
Exactly.
She has another flashback where she finally sees that her father is dead and not just dying.
And she missed him by an hour.
By less than an hour.
Less than an hour.
Yep. She decides to go and be with Legate Gamora one last time. She lays her head on his chest. He passes away. Fast forward, Bashir is writing up the
death certificate. He finishes. They talk for a while. And that's pretty much where the episode ends. Oh, I almost forgot. Yeah.
Gul Dukat wants to take the body back.
Right.
But Cisco explains that that's not going to happen. And then it flashes to Major Kira giving him, I believe, a Bajoran funeral.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So she's the one who sends him off.
Yes. And I skipped the thing with the Canard, but you watch the show.
Well, the Canard was a funny scene.
Watch it, though.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah. I like this episode a lot.
I did. It was sad, though, but I always liked Major Kira episodes.
She's one of my favorite characters.
She is such an in-depth character.
Yeah, she's such a badass.
She was a terrorist, and she has PTSD because of that. She had a relationship with Shakar, who used to be a part of the same resistance as her.
She's into spirituality a lot.
She's in spirituality a lot. Well, when that one guy was trying to take over the position of emissary, she kind of accepted that, which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's a very in-depth character.
I think she's great, babe.
I do too.
Yes.
I do too. Yeah.
Yes.
She survived a lot.
She did.
She's a good role model for women, I think.
I think so. And you know what's so interesting to me with old Star Trek versus new Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
In old Star Trek, they didn't have to announce this character is a badass bitch, for lack of a better word, right?
It is lack of a better word.
She just was. But it feels like with the new era of Star Trek, they always have to, like, go over the top with it. And make you realize.
Are you talking about the newest one? The newest installment?
Like with Discovery or with Picard, it seems like they have to overemphasize it.
Didn't you tell me that there was some, like, a little hint of, like, wokeness in Discovery?
That's what it seemed like from the first episode and everything I've read about it.
Yeah.
Picard had a lot of that, though.
Oh,
the
really?
New Picard series.
The new Picard, not the original one.
Not the original one. Not TNG, but the new Picard series that's on CBS right now.
Okay.
And it felt like they're trying too hard to show that they're into social justice.
So they're kind of trying to get with the times.
Yeah, and the thing you got to realize about Star Trek is it's always been super left wing, but they didn't have to announce their politics. It just was.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
An example I could give, if we were to contrast and compare, in the original series, George Takei, who is a Japanese American, was on the ship of the Enterprise.
Right.
And it wasn't announced that he's a Japanese American. He was just there, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody knew that. They didn't have to say it.
And he was part of the crew. He was a respected member.
Right.
Okay. I saw a clip from Star Trek Discovery, and it's of this white guy yelling at this Asian lady about how I knew Asian ladies I knew Asian people back at the academy, and I couldn't really trust them.
Oh, jeez.
And then he dies because he does something wrong. So they're drawing too much attention to the fact that they're diverse now, as opposed to just being diverse.
I can't stand
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I don't like that because
just be diverse. Like
because we never thought about the fact that was that Han Solo? No, not Han. I'm sorry, that's Star Wars.
Nobody cares about that.
That was a mistake I made.
Go ahead.
Well, I could say that nobody cares about Star Trek.
Oh, whatever. Keep going.
Man, you're being ornery this morning.
No, I'm not. Just keep going.
You are.
So are we.
Ornery.
Go ahead, babe.
I mean, nobody cares about the fact that, Benjamin Sisko just happened to be a black captain.
Yeah.
No one cares about that. It was just that the show was really good on Deep Space Nine, and that the show was good on TNG, and, there was already diversity. There was already diverse characters anyway. So why does it even matter? Yeah. Why should it even matter? I mean, nobody should really care about that.
One of the things that's great about the original series, which was shot in the 60s, when you watch a lot of television from that era, you don't see black people in a position of power.
Right.
But on Star Trek, there's a couple times where you see people who are a higher rank than the captain, who happen to be black. And they don't make a big deal out of it. It just is.
Well, I know this is a different example, but I used to watch the Drew Carey show back in the day, and I think towards the end of the show, Drew Carey's character was dating a black woman.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, well, I didn't even care, that she was black, and nobody really paid attention to that. I think when it came to shows like the Hughleys, and which I didn't really care for, then I kind of noticed that they were kind of paying attention to race. The Hughleys are a black couple with 2 kids, and then Dave and Sally are their next door neighbors who happen to be white.
I've seen one episode of the Hughleys.
I was not impressed.
Okay.
I was not impressed. I just did not. I just feel like a lot of people are just paying too much attention on race, on religion, on whatever it is, just to get with the times.
I think it's something we've got to acknowledge, but we don't have to. That shouldn't be our only focus.
There should not. I mean, we shouldn't be focusing so solely on identity politics.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are shows that I can't watch because of that, and what does it matter?
I do feel that the tide is going to start to turn a little bit.
I hope you're right about that.
Because I think people are getting sick of it.
It is. It's really annoying. It's really, you're pretty much what you're doing is you're putting people in groups and marginalizing them even more. I think it's just not necessary anymore.
I was watching, or rather listening to this podcast. That was a film podcast, and I tell you the name, but I just don't remember.
Okay.
Because I only listened to a couple episodes. And they started talking about the show The Boys, which we are going to watch at some point.
Okay.
Once we're done with Star Trek. It's a great, great show. There's a character in it who's a female, and she's Asian.
Right.
And the reviewer of the show said, as a woke male, I can't watch this Asian character who is a female and she's mean, because what kind of stereotype does that set across? And there are enemies on the show who are black, and what does that say about our culture? Now, meanwhile, if you watch the show, you realize that there are some bad characters who are black, but there's also a lot of bad characters who are white on the show. And one of the heroes who is black. So the guy, it felt like it was like he was trying to like show how woke he is by hating the show.
So he was kind of nitpicking everything
based on identity politics.
Yeah, that's just such a dangerous. That's just so. I mean, it just really ruins a show when somebody tries to do that.
Yeah.
I just think it. Who cares? Why is it such a big deal? I don't know. It's just why I don't get it.
I feel you, babe.
Well, I mean, if I were to say, like, when I was studying music in college, okay, if I were a woke person, I would say I am the first blind Asian woman who is in the music program, right? I mean, not only would I do that, but I'm like, I'm thinking, what is the point? There's no point to it. There really isn't. I just think that wokeness just does not belong in TV shows and everything else.
Right. And it's a pushback because for so many centuries, people have been marginalized. But it's gone too far the other direction, and society tends to course correct with these types of things. And I think we're about to see that.
Have you ever heard... So there was a woman on Sesame Street who played Maria for years. She's a Puerto Rican woman. And I noticed that, it could go the other way where people say, oh, there wasn't enough Puerto Ricans or blacks or what have you, whites that were not role models for the people in the same ethnic background, right? Have you ever heard that before?
I've heard people say I've never seen myself represented on TV.
What do you think about that?
It's a really good argument.
Yeah.
So here's where I go the other way.
Yeah.
I do think that it's good to see positive representations of all different types of people on TV.
Yes.
I think it's problematic when the producers of that show overly compensate by making their main trait their race.
I would agree with you on that, because when I was watching Sesame Street, Maria did speak in Spanish and she sang in Spanish, but it was never. This
is our Spanish friend.
This is our Puerto Rican friend, right? It was never like, I mean, we already knew she was Puerto Rican, and we already knew that Luis, the man who played Luis, who was Maria's husband, by the way, he's from Medford, Oregon. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He is from Medford, Oregon. We just knew that they spoke Spanish sometimes and they sang in Spanish, but it was not like pushed on that they were Puerto Rican or whatever they were.
They probably did other things too, right?
Yes, they did, yes.
So every time they referred to them, it wasn't about being Puerto Rican.
And then they would showcase, they would show people that were maybe that would sign, that would do sign language, but it wasn't like, oh, this is our deaf friend, or this is our blind friend, or it wasn't their entire identity. And I feel like people are so they're so focused on identity.
They are.
And I think it's really it's really annoying.
This is going to sound racist, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to use any racial slurs or anything, or anything crazy like that.
Okay.
I've noticed a lot of white women get upset about how minorities are shown on TV, or just in general.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about.
And it's usually what I've noticed, white women who have money.
Right. I would agree with you on that. Yes. I would agree with you on that.
It's a really weird phenomenon. I think it's kind of like a guilt thing.
Well, there are, I think it's kind of interesting that you say that, because you don't hear a lot of that from minorities.
Yeah, maybe some, but it's not a big thing.
Not a big percentage. In fact, sometimes you hear minorities that are saying, why are these white women saying that?
Yeah.
Why are these elitists telling us how to think and what to do based on our race? What do they have?
They want to be the white savior.
Exactly. And I find it really annoying. And a lot of them are young white women, too.
Mm-hmm. Who came from a 2-parent family.
And they were going to they lived in the most affluent neighborhoods, and they've gone to affluent schools.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, why are you trying to lecture us? No, I don't think it's racist at all. I think you're spot on, actually.
Thank you.
I would agree with you on that. Yes. And it's like, well, you don't hear a lot of minorities lecturing about, I don't know, maybe a small percentage. Not a lot. I think everybody else is just as tired as we are hearing those people say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, babes. Yes.
Well, it's also older black men saying that too.
Okay.
I won't mention their names. I don't know them personally, by the way.
Denzel Washington.
No, not Denzel Washington.
My brother.
Okay, I can say it. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, but they're trying to get money. They
already have a lot of money. They don't need to get any more money.
I heard this thing that Jesse Jackson was, I think this was like 2000. He was protesting NASCAR.
What?
Because he didn't think that they had enough black executives on their board.
Uh-huh.
So they hired a black guy.
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson stops protesting.
Okay.
Now, it happens to be, when you do the research, that the black guy they hired was Jesse Jackson's son.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why he stopped, because it's actually related to this guy.
I heard that the same thing happened with Anheuser-Busch as well.
Anheuser-Busch. I took a tour of their brewery in St. Louis. But that's another topic.
That's another topic, babe.
It was fun. It was interesting to learn. And then they had these Clydesdales.
Yeah, you told me that before.
Beautiful Clydesdales.
Very good, babies. Did you get to ride them?
No. My friend took pictures.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think there's another tour that you can take about and you're learning about the Clydesdales.
That would be interesting to me.
Yeah. It was I wasn't sure if I was going to like the brewery because, some people like to drink beer and I don't. And my friend didn't. And so, but we were able to get sodas at the end. And the sodas, the syrup in these sodas were really good, actually. But the brewery is kind of interesting. What I didn't like about it is the smell of hops. Ugh.
I like the smell of hops.
Ugh, it was bad.
I've told you that I've wanted to do like
Ugh.
I'm not making kombucha right now because I'm having some indigestion problems.
Yeah.
Next summer I will, though. But I've told you that I want to do like a ginger root beer kombucha, to where I take a little bit of, I ferment it with root beer, some ginger root, and a little bit of hops. So it's like a ginger root beer kombucha.
That sounds really disgusting to me, because I don't like root beer.
Yes. You like quark.
Yeah, he doesn't like root beer, but I also have to remember that he's really a human.
He's
a human.
A human.
I never liked root beer. I think it tastes like medicine.
I like root beer.
Ugh.
But I like the, A&W root beer.
Yeah, I heard A&W is really good.
But I don't drink soda that much anymore. I think the last time I had any was with you.
Yeah, because we went to Bloodworks Live, and they had 7-Up in the fridge, and I said, "You want to share some 7-Up with me?" And you're like, "Okay."
Yeah, we shared one.
We shared one, yeah.
Like almost 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, babe.
But I think hops smell so gross.
Wow. We disagree on that, babes.
Yeah, we did disagree on it.
But could we agree on last night's dinner that it came out really well?
Yes, it did.
Talk about it, Jaylo.
We made tostadas, and I've never made a tostada before, and I haven't had them in years. I think the last time I had a tostada, I might have been 7 years old. That's how long it was.
Wow.
And so we made it with beans and onions and avocado.
Fresh
Avocado, which actually it was good from Walmart. And
as fresh as you can get from Walmart.
As fresh as you can get. And then we put some kale instead of lettuce, and it tasted really good with the kale.
And that salsa you got, babe, was delicious on it.
Yeah, the chunky salsa from Walmart. And then
we had the Honey Honey playlist, which had songs from a bunch of different artists.
But some of them were good.
Yeah.
And then we had some shredded cheese and sour cream, and that was it. It was really good. I had 2 tostadas. He had 3 tostadas.
Yeah. I wanted some this morning, but she's like, "No, okay, we're eating apples for breakfast."
Well, I'm sorry, bub.
No, that's okay, babes.
We can make some later.
Oh, that's okay, babes.
If we want to.
I love you, babes.
I love you too.
I was surprised while we were listening to the Honey Honey playlist. They played the Chris Stapleton song "Tennessee Whiskey," and you had never heard of this man.
I don't think I have. I think you may have mentioned him, but I don't think I have heard of Chris Stapleton.
Good song though.
It was a good song.
2 chords.
Yeah.
Yeah, babes.
I guess.
Yes.
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 Babes.
Yes.
We watched 2 movies last night. 2 chords and 2 movies.
2 movies. Yes. Yes. So we watched Joe versus the Volcano, which for some reason I didn't see. I don't know why. I had this idea that Tom Hanks' character was dying, or thought he was dying. I was certainly right about that. But why don't you start with it?
Okay. The movie opens up. Joe is headed towards work. It looks like his office is in a basement. Very bad lighting. Nobody's happy.
The boss is just horrible.
His boss is Nick Tortelli.
Well, Nick Tortelli isn't his name, but, he's a horrible boss.
I know him as Nick Tortelli from Cheers.
You gotta get the characters right, bub.
Loretta wasn't there. So.
Frank, what's his name? Frank something.
Frank something. He was also...
He's also Mel Horowitz on Clueless.
Yes. Great movie.
Yes.
Anyways. Nick is talking to some guy on the phone.
Harry.
Was it Frank? I thought it was. Wasn't it?
No. He was talking to a guy named Harry. He's like, I understand that he can do the job, but can he get the job? Because he's trying to find some more people for his office.
Yeah. Joe sits down, turns off the fluorescent light above him, and takes out his own light. Frank comes and yells at him about something and tells him to take out his own light. So he takes it out. He goes to the doctor, played by Robert Stack, who tells him that he has a brain cloud and that he's going to die within 6 months.
Robert Stack is so good. Just the way that he sounds, he really still reminds me of him being on Unsolved Mysteries.
And it works in this film. You know what I mean?
You have a brain cloud.
Yes. If you want more information.
Call 1-800. What is it?
We don't have to give it up.
Anyway, it was really funny. It was, I mean, I was just laughing because I'm like, he really, really sounds like a nerd. But I didn't know that he was an actor.
Yeah, he was on the original Untouchable series back in the 50s. Wow. And I think he worked with your girl Annette Funicello at some point.
My girl? Why do you keep saying that?
She adopted you, right?
What? No.
Oh, okay.
No, she's dead now.
Okay, but I thought when she was younger she adopted you.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
Get back to the film, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Joe goes back. He quits his job. He goes out with Meg Ryan. They're having a great date. At the end of the date, they're making out at his place, and he says, "Listen, I'm dying." She says, "I'm leaving."
This is I have to respond to this. This is her character Dee Dee, who used to work with Joe at the office.
Right.
Okay, we should put that. We should say that Meg Ryan plays 3 characters in this movie.
Okay, babes. Yes, she does. She does.
Yes.
The next day, Joe is strumming his ukulele.
Yes.
And Lloyd Bridges comes to his house playing a character. He says, "Listen, I'm a very rich man. I want you to go to this island and kill yourself by jumping into a volcano. If you do this, I will get this mineral rights." Because this society believes that somebody has to jump in this volcano and sacrifice themselves once every 100 years.
Right.
And it's been 99 years and 11 months since the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do this for me, I will make the last 20 days of your life great. Here are some credit cards. Have some fun.
Yep.
I'm going to skip over some stuff for the sake of time.
Yeah.
But he lands in L.A. and Meg Ryan picks him up from the airport. Angelica.
Oh, yeah. Angelica is one of his daughters, and she's kind of eccentric.
One of Lloyd Bridges' daughters.
Yes.
Yes.
She's really eccentric, and she writes poetry, and her poetry isn't that great.
Would you like to hear my poem again?
Would you like to hear my poem again?
Okay, so she takes him around the town, drops him off. He spends the night staring at the beach.
Yes.
He comes back the next morning.
Yes.
She gives him a ride to the boat, where we meet Meg Ryan. Who's third? What are you doing, babes?
Oh, I'm kind of laying down a little bit. Sorry.
What's the third character she plays, babe?
Patricia. Patricia is the half sister of Angelica.
And Tom Hanks' Joe calls her Patrish.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. I thought he.
No. She keeps calling him. She keeps calling him another name. I forgot what it was.
Why did I think that she called him Patrish?
You made that up, Bubs.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
You made it up like you make a lot of stuff up.
No, I don't do that.
But it's funny.
Thank you. He gets on the boat. They go to sea. They get to know each other a little bit more. And there's this big storm that comes in. Patricia gets flung off the boat. Mm-hmm. Joe jumps into the water to rescue her. He finds this luggage that he bought. That's really big and really nice. He puts her on top of the luggage, finds another piece, connects the two. Mm-hmm. Connects the 2 pieces of luggage, and the boat is hit by lightning and drowns.
Yep.
They eventually make it to the island. Joe is greeted by the chief. And
the Waponi people, by the way.
Waponi people who are really into orange soda.
Yes, the Waponi Woo. That's the island. Waponi Woo.
Yes. It means, what is it? Little island with big volcano?
Yeah, little island with the big volcano. Or with a volcano or whatever it is.
Yes. They have a fun day. Joe is taken up to the top of the volcano. He's about ready to jump in when Patricia says that she's in love with him and wants to get married.
Yep.
The chief does a very quick ceremony.
Very quick.
Patricia walks with him to the edge of the volcano, and they both agree to jump in together.
Yep.
They take a leap, they fall in, and the volcano pushes them out safely into the water.
Yep.
And everybody else on the island dies.
Including the chief.
Yes.
And all the island is burned up.
Luckily for Joe and
Patricia, yes.
They see the luggage. They get back on board. They have a lantern. They're having a conversation. And Patricia realizes that Joe's doctor set him up because he works for her father. So he's not dying. Yeah. And they live happily ever after.
That was a very strange movie, but I liked it. A lot of funny parts. It's strange.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
It's not my favorite movie, but it's fun. It's good to watch once in a while because it has so many cool twists and turns in it.
That is so weird. It's like he went to the island for nothing, pretty much.
No, but the point of it also had to do a lot with conquering his fears.
Right.
Because he's basically a hypochondriac when the movie starts.
Yes, he is.
And he's not living life to the fullest. So there is a point to him going to that island.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the volcano blew them out into the water.
He never would have met Patricia if he didn't go.
Right.
And presumably now, he's going to make a ton of money.
Yes, he is.
Because Patricia's father is loaded.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yes, he is. And they lived happily ever after on their 2 pieces of luggage.
I'm assuming they got discovered at some point.
Yeah, it was just so funny how it ended.
Yes.
Like, you wouldn't think it would end that way, but it was funny.
Great movie. No, very good movie.
Good movie.
Good movie. Very good movie. You're glad you watched it.
I did. I thought it was entertaining, and I thought it was funny, and very odd, but, you know.
Have I shown you any movies that you didn't like?
No, I don't think so.
Good. I'm glad my track record is held steady.
So far.
Yes.
I know that there was at least one movie that you didn't like that I showed you, but do you think that most of the movies that I showed you were pretty good?
Most of them are really good.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Good.
Now, my dear.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about A League of Their Own, since you've sat up again?
Yes, I did. A League of Their Own is a movie that I haven't watched in years. I think the last time I watched it, I was a teenager, so there are some things I forgot about it, but... So, it's based on a fictional story about a real-life women's baseball league. This is going on during the war.
World War II.
World War II, in the 40s. And while their husbands are away, or their boyfriends are away at sea, the women have formed a league. And it was kind of funny thinking on that because, and I'm not going to get to that until later because of the skepticism that people had about this league, right?
May I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes.
With kind of a technical point.
What? They
didn't form the league. The way I understand it is Gary Marshall started it and he recruited them. All
right. They were recruited. They were recruited into a league, and that's how their league began. John Lovitz was their talent scout. I was wrong. He was not their manager. Their talent scout.
Go ahead.
And after they, where did they go to? They went to Chicago. After they were able to recruit the women, they went to Chicago and started the league there. John Lovitz flees the scene. Gary Marshall meets Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is this like abrasive drunk guy.
And we think that he used to be a professional baseball player.
Yes. And he is recruited to be the team's manager. And in the beginning, the girls don't know how to deal with him because he's abrasive, he's loud, he's...
May I interrupt you again really quick?
What?
I think he's technically their coach.
Their manager, coach, whatever.
I think there's 2 different roles in professional baseball.
Would you let me continue?
All right, sorry. I will shut up now. That's fine.
Thank you. Okay, manager, coach, whatever he is, he manages their team. Am I right?
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, the girls don't know how to deal with him because he's he's a guy. You know, it's like their team isn't doing very well. It also focuses on these two sisters named Kit Keller and Dottie Hinson. Dottie Hinson is really good with baseball, and a lot of people want her autograph because she's pretty and she's also really active. Kit Keller is just the little sister, who Dottie Hinson is played by Gina Davis, and Kit Keller, I believe, is played by Lori Petty. You recognized her. And so it's this rivalry between Dottie and Kit. Well, they both... You observed this where they both joined two women's teams, correct?
They were initially on the same team, but then Dottie accidentally gets her sister transferred.
I do remember that, yes. And that she was really upset over that. So she gets transferred to a new team. Oops, sorry.
That's right.
She gets transferred to a new team in the series. There's a lot of things that happen. There's some really, really funny scenes in that movie. Madonna is May. She plays all the way May. Rosie O'Donnell, what was her name? Doris. So May and Doris are good friends, and they're really good on the team. And then there's Dottie, and then there's that one lady that's kind of like prim and proper. I forgot what her name was. She's the one that the
Coach kisses. Tom Hanks just like slaps it on her.
Yeah, and she's like, ah!
That was a great scene.
Remember that scene when he was peeing?
That was awesome. They're like trying to talk to me. This doesn't say anything.
And the girls are like right there in the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that was a lot of pee. You think he said he's like, shh. It's like, wow, that was a lot of peeing. So you don't know you don't know what to expect from him and the girls. Well, fast forward. One of the girls, I think it was Betty, she finds out that her husband dies. And she's really, really, really torn about it. All the girls are gathering around her.
There's supposed to be no crying in baseball.
There's supposed to be no crying in baseball because one of the ladies, Evelyn, who has a child, was crying, and he didn't allow her to cry, but he allowed Betty to cry. And I think it's because he was becoming sympathetic towards the girls because now he was their manager. And then so Betty's husband dies. Dottie starts crying because she's thinking that her husband's dead. And there shows up her husband, Bob, who's played by Bill Pullman.
Yes. The
great Bill Pullman. Would you agree?
I would, yeah, absolutely. I've heard he's a nice guy, too.
Yeah. And he goes to see her. They decide they want to they said they want to go back home to Oregon. Well, she tells the coach. Coach is really upset and says, this is what really excites you. This is your life. And she's basically saying, I don't want this for myself anymore. I want to have kids. So she goes to Oregon. Fast forward, I don't know how long it is actually. And then before they're playing their game, this is before the World Series, she comes back and says, well, I decided I want to play.
Can I tell you something? Or do you want me to?
Yes, go ahead.
She never made it back to Oregon.
They
were driving, and then I think they decided to rejoin the team on their way, but they had only made it as far as, I want to say, the Grand Canyon.
Okay. So they didn't even make it to Oregon. But my point being is that she came back to play one last time. And she decides that she doesn't want to go to the World Series with them. They lose the game, unfortunately.
At the World Series.
They did lose the game at the World Series, and Kit's team won. But so she decides that she's going to go back to her husband, back with her husband to Oregon. She says goodbye to Kit. And fast forward, Dottie didn't want to go back to see the women, but she does anyway. And there's all these women. There's Marla. I can't remember who plays Marla Hooch. May and Doris. Unfortunately, Evelyn dies, but her son Stillwell, which is kind of a weird name, shows up, a grown man. He was kind of the agitator of the
Yes.
of the team, really causing a number of problems. Yeah, he was not a good kid, and it was a great movie. It was over 2 hours long, but I really, really liked it.
I'm so glad you made me watch this movie.
It's a great
Lots
film.
of fun.
Yeah, great film about a women's baseball league and all the chaos that ensues with it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes, I'm glad you did.
Yes.
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 Especially when they sing at the end their theme song. That was great. When they were all coming together and seeing each other for the first time in years.
That was actually very touching.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they're so old.
And when she runs into Stillwell and he's like, "Hey, do you remember me?
You're gonna lose.
You're gonna lose. You're gonna lose."
And she's like, Stillwell Angel.
Yes.
You know, and his mother just doted on that little boy.
Mm-hmm.
Was not disciplined at all. He's eating the candy.
He's putting his hands over the driver of their bus as he's on the road.
Yeah.
And she's not doing anything about it.
And then he's eating candy and she's like, Stillwell, don't eat the wrapper, honey. And then remember when he's like, "You're not gonna win. You're not," and then the coach throws the ball at him.
That was great.
And then she's
Knocks
like,
him out.
He's okay. He's okay. That is so funny.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, now the bus is filled with Stillwell's toys." That would make me upset too.
Yes.
But no, it was a good movie. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you do. Madonna also made a song for this movie, which I really liked, that was called This Used to Be My Playground.
Okay.
It's a good song.
Interesting.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoyed this, babe. We had a fun movie watching night last night.
Yes, we did.
It's going to be great again, hopefully, with Inner Space and You've Got Mail.
You Got Mail, I think, is a really fun romantic comedy. I think you would like it.
I've not seen it. I'm looking forward to it, though, babe.
You may not, you may like other... I honestly think it's better than... It's better than Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, I liked Sleepless in Seattle, but I didn't love it.
Yeah. So, You Got Mail is... I heard that it was like a... it was based on a movie called Shop Around the Corner, which was an old movie about a bookshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because Meg Ryan in You Got Mail owns a bookshop. That's all I'm going to say.
Very cool.
Yes.
Now, Dave Chappelle is in it too, right?
Dave Chappelle?
I heard somewhere that he was in You Got Mail as like Tom Hanks' friend.
It may be true. I mean, I haven't... I only saw it like a couple times, so I have to... I don't remember. Excuse me.
Whoa.
Excuse me.
Yeah, mild, babe.
Excuse me about that.
That's okay, babes.
I think you'll just have to see when we watch it.
We haven't really discussed
Mm-hmm.
what next weekend will look like as far as film watching goes.
So I thought that it would be fun to watch a couple of fun baseball movies that you haven't seen. What was it? It was Ladybugs was one. And then there's a Sandlot, which, I mean, they're both like family movies, but I think you would enjoy it.
Here's an idea. What if instead of Ladybugs, because I'm thinking that one might be particularly hard to find.
Really?
Yeah. What if we did The Bad News Bears, which you haven't seen, and Sandlot, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, The Sandlot is great. I used to watch... Well, I thought it was great because my sisters and I used to watch it when we were teens. And not only that, but she had the biggest crush on one of the... She thought one of the actors was really cute in the movie. And it's just kind of a fun... Oh, jeez.
Go ahead.
No, it was a fun movie.
I think that could be fun.
Yeah.
Bad News Bears and the Sandlot.
So the Bad News Bears, what is the... I only heard that it's with a Little League baseball team, right?
Yeah, Walter Matthau plays a man who's hired to coach this team, and let's just say that they're not the best team in the world.
Isn't Tatum O'Neal in that one?
Yes, she is. She plays the daughter of one of Walter Matthau's ex-girlfriends, and he recruits her to help with the team. She's good in the movie. She's really good in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to watch that film with you.
And when did that come out?
I want to say like 75. I could be wrong, but somewhere around that.
Yeah, I heard that she was in a movie with her father, and it was called Paper Moon.
I've never seen it, but I keep meaning to watch it.
I heard that she almost got an Oscar for that. I don't know if that's right, but she did a really good performance in Paper Moon. Yeah.
Interesting. So that could be one night, and then I'm thinking, we've talked about doing a Faye Dunaway night before. What do you think about doing Chinatown and Network one night?
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with Faye Dunaway.
This would help you get more familiar with her, babe.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think of Chinatown and Network on Friday, and then Saturday we do The Sandlot and Bad News Bears?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you digest that, babe.
Okay.
Yes, good nights of film watching.
Yes.
Did you have any dreams last night?
I did. I had a couple of them. They were kind of weird. If I remember correctly, the first dream I had was... I had to lie down again. Sorry.
That's right.
Ugh. Tummy's not doing good.
Uh-oh.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, I had a dream that there was somebody in my family that was having a wedding. And I don't remember who was getting married. And then there was some guy named Jim in the story that wanted to, like, kill himself or something. It was weird. The next dream, there were these two women that were, I think they were in court or something, and they were pleading their case against a bill that had to do with, like, the death of students or something. And both women were crying. It was weird. I don't know.
Interesting, babe.
Maybe I've been watching too much True TV or something like that.
That's possible, babe. You do like those, like, kind of reality shows about...
No, True TV is actually, like, actual court cases.
Interesting, okay.
True TV, which used to be called Court TV.
I used to watch it back in the day.
I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time because the only way I would watch it is if I was at my aunt's house, but I don't watch it all the time. Sometimes it's kind of interesting.
Yes.
But maybe I've been watching too many, like, mysteries or whatever.
Anything's possible, Jaylo.
Right.
Yes. Babe, I know your stomach's hurting. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
Not at the moment. What about you?
Nothing that I can think of. Do you feel better? Do you feel like I'm still being crappy?
I think it's better now.
Okay, I don't think I was crappy. I think I was just having some questions.
Ennui.
Oh, babe, I don't think I was ennui. But that is a subject we can revisit at another time. Because it looks like you're in pain.
A little bit, yeah.
So we can wrap it up.
Okay.
Okay, I hope you recover, Jaylo.
Yes, I will.
And, yeah, till next time.
Till next time, everybody.
Hopefully Alana won't be in pain anymore.
Thank you. Happy Saturday.
Yes, happy Saturday. I think we may have gone at it too hard last night after
What?
the movies.
What? Okay, whatevs.
All right, babes, I love you. Do you want to give me a kiss? Oh, come on, babes. Come on, babes.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Stop it.
All right, babes.
Okay, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Until next time.
Till next time. Okay, bye-bye.